everybody, welcome back after a long hiatus to Yorkshire Rolls. We're joining you with some familiar and some new faces, and this is going to be the first instalment of our new Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, Kindred of the North 1888, which is a Victorian setting vampire story. As always, we'd love it if you like what we do to tell us, to comment, to share, to subscribe if you want to see more of the stuff that we create here on this channel. And we'll leave links to our social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook in the description box below. Let's meet our wonderful players.
Hi, my name's John Shannon, and I will be playing Antiochus, member of Clan Banu Haki.
Hi, I'm Blair, and I will be playing Christopher Cheshire of Clan Toreador. Eventually.
And I am your storyteller for this evening.
Her name is written underneath.
Will you stop trashing my mystique?
It's what Nosferatu do.
That's true, Nosferatu know everything.
They do. Shall we make a start? Are you all sitting comfortably?
Always.
Then I'll begin. It's a misconception, universally understood, in Londinium and by those fashionable circles, that Yorkshire is a wild and untamed backwater, filled with picturesque landscapes, cottage industry, and their country park estates. They are naive. Whilst the moors and the fens provide those wild places you might find on a Whitby postcard or some such, there is more to the county than rocks and mountains. We're a vital organ, pumping the nation with goods, wealth, and human transit, a conduit to the rest of the empire. The coastal ports supply the metropolis through the veins of its canals and rails, and the city of Leeds, with its shining facade of architecture and art and science, is propelled by the thrum of the factories and mills, spinning straw to gold for those who know how to harvest it. And it's a brutal existence for those charged with keeping their metal hearts beating. Those of a genteel disposition may take an amble in the galleries, or to the ballet in the theatre, or the more cerebral amongst you may take in a lecture in the advancements of surgery and science at St. James's Hospital. All undisturbed by the cogs of flesh and squalor that keep the city moving. For the cogs dwelling amongst the claustrophobic back-to-backs, it's a wretched and stinking existence. From dusk, they may seek relief from their drudgery through a maze of taverns and brothels and opium dens that entangle themselves down the streets and ginnels of Briggate and Call Lane. Amongst the choking fog crawling from the river and the rancidity of the brewers and tanners that connect the outer city to its inner. But gin, smoke, and pleasures of the flesh are not all that walk the night. There's more to fear than cut-purses and thugs in the dark places of the world. And it's one of these dark places where our story takes place tonight. So it's a dark, hot, claustrophobic room where we take our first turn in our story. No light is in here, but the faint smell of something burning, sweet smoke. Amongst the mess of satin cushions and Turkish rugs is a solitary figure, laying on its back, not moving, not breathing. But as the sun goes down behind the horizon, the eyes of this figure opens, and it transpires that it's Mr. Ennis. Mr. Ennis, you're awake. Can you please make me our first rouse check?
It would be my pleasure. That would be a failure.
Well then, you're going to have to add another lovely dot into that hunger. There's a little scratch at the back of your head. Not quite the voice, the visceral urge, but it's there, keeping you from having full attention on your business for the day. And as if you were thinking about business, business comes knocking, as there's a soft knock at your door. And a man with dark hair, sunken eyes, and a hulking figure opens the door. Sir, I'm really sorry. I cannot get her to leave your meeting. She's here.
Thank you, Peter. Let me compose myself. I'll be out there momentarily.
Very good, sir. She's very insistent. How should I distract her? Keep her busy?
I give her anything she wants.
Very good, sir. And the large man turns on his heel with a nod, closes the door softly. What do you do?
If this is what I expected, then I need to make sure I'm looking the best, as one should when one is encountering the Toreador, unless they are purposely trying to agitate them. So I find there's a mirror, a small one, and not a sombra, I'll cast a reflection. I'm going to check, make sure everything's in place. Get annoyed that I'm hungry, but kind of suppress it and head out through the thick curtains that sort of bar my space from everywhere else in my haven.
Fabulous. As you exit your sleeping chambers, the curtains are drawn across, and a woman, very fashionably dressed for the era, the tightest laced corset you've ever seen. How she could possibly breathe is anyone's guess. Only you know she doesn't have to. As Lady Ava Greenwood graces you with her fabulous presence. Antiochus, darling, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and this awful man was giving me all sorts of excuses.
I apologize. I only just woke up.
At this hour? Really?
Yes, so one of those nights, I think. Business?
We've all had those. Can we discuss the matter in private, please?
Absolutely. Step this way, and I'll lead her not into my sleeping room, but to a small booth, sort of nearby, just somewhere quiet enough that we can talk. It's one of these. It's a little place I would normally conduct business. So it's
She cuts very much to the chase. You got my note, I trust?
Absolutely.
Then I need not explain myself. The boon is owed, Mr. Ennis. Have you got the acquisition?
Can't get it for you tonight.
Okay. I have an inkling of the target that you have in mind. I will see their suitability tonight. I have another engagement, so I cannot stay long, hence my urgency in wanting to see you. They are my taste, aren't they? And you will make sure that the preparations are made. We can't go without refreshment.
Absolutely. I will ensure that there is ample refreshment provided.
Excellent. Do well tonight, and your boon shall be paid in full. And with
For the
that,
continuation of our business.
she snatches up her bag, turns on her heel, and leaves your establishment. You've now got a little bit of breathing room. What are you going to do?
Storyteller, am I aware of where this person is?
You would be aware that they are heading to a glittering reception at the Leeds Museum.
Okay, first things first then, this itch is annoying me. I will go and find some... It's quite early in the evening, I might not be that many people yet, but I will go into the public part of my establishment, and I will glance around, and who do I see?
Okay, so are you in the upstairs of your business or the downstairs?
The downstairs. It's the evening. I feel like the upstairs would have probably been shut. The entrance to the downstairs can be accessed through a side door, and that's usually where people come to if they need the services I provide at a late hour.
Excellent. Okay. Well, there's your employees, Elizabeth and Violet, in their lovely frilly white aprons, serving tea to a gaggle of ladies. They all are in their sort of late 30s to early 60s. There's 4 of them. And you know that they are part of the Women's Temperance Union, preaching hell and damnation for those of the who take part in the demon drink. And they were just about to start a rousing chorus of Jam in Jerusalem when you walked in.
And they're in the downstairs.
Yeah, they're in the. Oh, I think I may be misunderstanding the layout of your building.
The downstairs is the
I'd gone
yeah.
first floor upstairs rather than first floor basement.
What's more likely to be in Victorian Leeds? Upstairs?
I would go first floor, street level legitimate.
Street level is okay.
Yeah.
Upstairs. In that case, then
First
rewind.
floor, salacious.
Okay.
Let's correct on that. Upstairs is where all of the magic happens, and so I walk out from my booth, and I look around to I see upstairs. Sorry.
Okay, so they've got into Jerusalem. I can't remember the words to jump to Jerusalem.
And did those feet in ancient times stand upon Yorkshire's mountains green?
Yes, something like that.
My sword stuck in my hand.
I think I might actually final death blow if I start singing Jerusalem, so I won't.
Okay, yeah, so what unlucky souls have found their way into my debaucherous den?
Okay, there's 3 figures sprawled amongst the silk cushions and rugs, and a large gilt hookah in the centre. They've got end of the pipes lolling out of their hands, heads rolled back in what appears to be infinite bliss, although you know it's far from infinite. So there is a younger gentleman, maybe in his mid-20s, not the best dressed, but maybe he's up and coming, some sort of clerk or man of business trying to work his way up. There is a woman in her 40s. You can see by the way her mouth's lolled open that her bottom teeth are missing, and she's making a weird, horrible guttural sound at the back of her throat. And then the third man is a man in an entirely tweed suit with a big white walrus moustache who's just sat holding the pipe with his eyes closed.
I think I would approach the young gentleman, and I would just sort of sit down next to him and take the pen, the why is the word leaving my mind? I know what the thing is. The pipe, the actual
Pipe?
stem of the pipe. Stem, that's the word. I take the stem out of his hand,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at him and I say, do you care for something a little more intense? I have some exquisite private stock from the Orient. Just in my back room.
What? I mean, this is pretty strong stuff. Do you think I'd be able to handle it?
Oh, absolutely. It's strong but not overbearing. And I like to give people a taste of the really good stuff.
Well, I did just get paid, so I'm due to get promoted next week, so I'll treat myself. And he's very floppy. He extends a hand to you.
I have 3 dots in strength, so I just swoop him up. Not like that, but like, I gather him under my arm, under my arms, and I just kind of just gently kind of walk him to a smaller, darker corner. Do I need to roll for this, or is he so out of it that I don't need to roll my check?
He's pretty compliant. He's very trusting of you. He's been here once or twice. He vaguely knows who you are, doesn't know your name, but vaguely remembers who you are and that you work here. So he's quite trusting of you, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So I would roll up his sleeve, and take his arm and just sort of, I wouldn't make eye contact with him, but I just kind of trust that he would be in his days, and just sort of leap down and feed, and I'll take 1 dot from this man who's due to be promoted.
He thinks this feels great, so he closes his eyes and his head tilts back as you drink, and as you pull away, he opens his eyes and goes, he can't speak.
That's absolutely fine. I will take him. It's kind of like gentle, but with no, absolutely 0 room for resistance. I just sort of carry, I walk him back to where he was. I sit him back down, and then I say, "Have a good evening and good luck with that promotion." And then
He closes his eyes, and he doesn't move. He's still alive, obviously. You only satiated yourself. You didn't drain him dry.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Well, I'm pretty sure you've got business to attend to, Mr. Ennis. So let's think about that. Well, let's take a saunter over to that glittering museum reception. Mrs. Greenwood told you all about. So, it's a benefit, and treasures of a wealthy patron have been brought to be displayed at the Leeds Museum. Some up himself, explorer, some sort of Egyptian tomb raider. The Valley of the Kings is significantly emptier now that he's been and gone, and all the lovely, beautiful baubles are on display. It's full of the local... It's full of the local elite, so academics, scholars, the owners of the mills and factories that are in and around the city. The mayor is in attendance. Sort of the upper and upper middle class are around. And they are all enraptured by this jumped up guy with a mustache and like +4s and a pith helmet. Basically, they think he's the best thing since, but since sliced bread hasn't been invented yet. And
Best thing since the safety bicycle. Wait, no, I don't think that's been invented yet either, has it? When did the safety bicycle become a thing?
Safety bicycle.
Anyway.
And as he drones on about his daring, intrepid, leaning languidly on a bust of Seti II is Mr. Cheshire. And you're hoping and wishing that this guy would stop talking. You're looking around the room at anything else. So there's, Egyptian heads and baubles and spears of stuff and jars full of organs. And you're the only one that seems completely unstimulated by this guy. Okay, apart from in an alcove opposite from you, you spot a woman, also deeply disinterested in this guy, and she's staring at what appears to be a golden sphere on some sort of pedestal with wrapped around it, and the face of a woman carved into the front. And she's staring and staring, and you don't think you've seen her blink. GG.
Seeing as she's the only person not being taken in by these stories, which I'm pretty sure I read last week in Reader's Digest under the fiction section, I'll head over and introduce myself.
Fabulous. It takes a second for her to register that you're there. She seems transfixed by this object. And she looks up and she goes, "Oh, good evening."
Good evening, madam. Sorry to intrude, but I couldn't help notice that you're also seems to be the only person not bought in by old Mustache's stories over there.
It's not the reason I'm here. Not at all.
Oh, so why would you come then? I assume you have had an invitation to this most entertaining of galas.
Of course. I'm invited everywhere that's important. But he's not why I'm here. Listen.
If I could be so bold, what is it that brings you here this evening?
This. And she gestures at the orb. And as she goes back to staring at it, she looks at you, dead in the eyes, and it's almost like she's looked straight through you. You notice that she's impeccably dressed, and the corset she wears is so tight, her waist is so small that how on earth can this woman breathe?
I'll say, forgive me, I neglected to introduce myself. Christopher Cheshire, at your service.
She bobs a curtsy without taking her eye. Lady over Greenwood, pleasure. And offers a hand, without taking eyes off this orb.
The pleasure is mine, my lady. Incline as take hand and kiss in that weird.
In that non-physical contact, but I get what you mean. As you do that, her eyes flick and look straight into yours again, and flick back to the orb. So, I assume you're wondering what this is.
I have to say, yes, it seems to have caught your interest quite keenly, and I can't help but find my curiosity piqued.
Well, the funny thing about this is nobody's sure what it is or why it is. All they know is it's from the Second Dynasty, and who really knows about that? But it is beautiful, don't you agree?
It is beautiful, and there is something to be said, I think, for beauty's sake. Perhaps it serves no other purpose than to be beautiful.
That she actually stops looking at the orb and turns to face you for the first time and smiles. There's something to this smile. You are transfixed by this woman. She's not stunningly beautiful, but captivating is the word. And you sort of you feel drawn to her. You want to spend time with this woman. She's intriguing to you, and you're not entirely sure why. Okay. I have to say, Mr. Cheshire, I completely agree with that sentiment. What's the point of life if it's not to revel in its beauty? Do you not agree?
Well, precisely. The strange thing is that we tend to ascribe the greatest works of beauty to those who are already dead. All of this gold and glitter and incredible artwork for people who are no longer alive. It's almost makes you want to skip to the end yourself sometimes.
You know what? Have you heard the phrase that some say, death is only the beginning?
Oh, indeed I have. Not sure where my views sit on the afterlife. I can't be having with all the shouting and screaming and hell and brimstone of the church, but I do like to think that perhaps there's something waiting for us after this. I do think if there is a God up there, he's perhaps playing a sick joke on all of us, but we'll get the punchline eventually.
She lets out you as quite a charismatic person, a perfectly rehearsed laugh at that joke. And as the ring of her laugh echoes out across the marble of this hall, the pompous windbag finishes talking, and the crowd that have been enraptured by him erupts into applause. The sound sort of jerks your attention a little bit. You turn back to Lady Greenwood, and she is gone.
I'll sort of cast my gaze around, trying to look for her, but I'll try and, maintain my composure. It's sort of that moment of, I wasn't running for the bus. It's like, oh no, I've just been stood here staring at this orb on my own. There's nothing weird going on. Definitely perplexed that she could have gone so quickly, but trying to save face and not look like I'm desperately looking for someone.
Yeah, you feel a bit of like a pang now that she's not there. And there's definitely something not ordinary about this person.
Are people starting to mill and mingle now?
They are, yes, they've broken from the crowd that was stood at the front of the hall with their glasses of champagne, listening to this person talk, and they're now splintering into groups of conversation.
I'll find one of the people handing out a glass of champagne, and I'll work my way into a group and try and. Have I ever heard of Lady Ava Greenwood before?
The name sounds familiar, but you can't quite place it.
I might just do some prying and trying to find out who she is, because she's an interesting person I've met. I was going to say all night, but I decided to just stop at met.
Okay. No one can really tell you anything concrete. They're like, oh, she's a patron of the arts. Oh, she's funded this artist or that artist, or oh, she was at a poetry reading of whatever, or she was there at a reading of Charles Dickens' latest work, or something like that. But nothing sort of about her. It's all more stuff she's endorsed or places she was seen at. It's not really who is she.
Yeah, things she's connected to. After a bit of that, to cover up the fact that I'm sad that she's gone, I'll probably start finding people to flirt with. So.
Cool. While you're
drink lots of free champagne.
Yeah, there are plenty of the champagne's freely flowing. The flirtation is not dazzling, but it's there. But you start to feel a little bit itchy. Your skin's prickling. You on needles, and the conversation's suddenly sort of not as stimulating as you thought it was going to be.
These people are nowhere near as interesting as they think they are. Always the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably head off and try and find something more interesting to do. I don't tolerate boredom for very long.
That's absolutely fair enough.
I go more than 60 seconds without actually being interested in something, so I'm going to leave now. I will take one more look at that orb that Lady Greenwood was focusing on before I leave.
Fabulous.
And then I'll probably head to where I normally go when reality's too boring.
And where is that?
The secret opium den above a tea shop.
Yes, Latte Bohème.
Latte Bohème.
The cunning play on words that the machine haven't quite picked up on yet, because whilst they're bourgeois, they're not that bourgeois yet. Excellent. So you're going to head over there. Fabulous. We're going to move across the city now to somewhere a little bit out of the way and one of those other darker places that you wouldn't want to go in the night on your own.
One might say.
The dark one. The final stop. The graveyard. The cemetery. Towering mausoleums, monuments, marble angels, headstones. And our Nosferatu friend awakens for the evening. Not to a knock at the door or tedium from pompous explorers and intriguing women that appear and disappear, but by an argument. So as you awaken in your haven, you hear outside the gates to the sewer entrance, Now then, there's no need to get bolshy. Look, this is a place of rest. There's no need for your mob sorts round here. We're all good Christian folk, have some respect for the dead. And some angry voices are grumbling, chunnering, and like, oh, well, why won't you let us down there if you've got something to hide? And he's like, oh, come on. It's the entrance to the sewer, for Christ's sake. You know, this stink like hell. Try it. And he's like, don't think I won't. These keys aren't for unlocking stuff, they're for punching you right gob. And they
George.
they like try and
He's already my favourite character.
I only choose the best schools.
Like they try and like persuade him and like threaten him, but he's not having any of it, and he's like, go on, sling the hook. And they begrudgingly leave. What do you do?
Check.
You do have to do a Raz check. So
that was a failure.
Excellent. So there's a scratch in the back of your mind.
Fucking
Nothing horrendous, but it's annoying more than unbearable.
Kind
At least
me
you're in
up
a
of
place
night.
with plenty of your preferred menu. What do you do now? George, you can hear George chunnering and grumbling. Oh, no respect to these days whippersnappers. I'll have them, I'll show them all. Think they go down to Lemon Flag and they're hard, I'll show them hard.
George, you would literally kill them with a punch. They're not fucking worth it.
Oh, that's not the point. It's principle, innit?
Well, next time, let them down and see what fucking happens.
Oh, but that's going against what you told me. You told me I'm not to let anybody in here.
Well, after being dicks about it, they're not exactly innocent, are they?
That's not the point. I'd rather have them themselves and show them what for. I didn't fight in Crimea for nothing.
Well, have you got me anything to eat tonight, George? Anything decent for me?
Oh, yes, sir. The old Belleville plot, another one. Consumption.
You know what? For those rich bastards, they seem to be dropping like flies.
Oh, they've got no stamina. They're like absolute lace handkerchiefs and about as useful as one.
Oh, they're useful to me, aren't they, George?
That's their only use, not in life anyway.
Yeah, much more useful in death. Well...
Go on, usual crypt, you know where they are.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over, drop myself back down to 1.
Right, can you describe your feeling type?
I grab this fresh corpse. I'm assuming the grave is still open. George hasn't had a chance to fill it yet.
Yeah, the door to the crypt, he's left it on the latch for you. It's not locked, and it's a bit heavy, but you're that's no problem for you.
I open the crypt and just straight into the neck and just drop myself back down to 1 hunger, because I don't think I can go down to 0 hunger even with my predator type.
You can't on them.
No, because it's already dead.
Yes. You have to drain the last drop of life for you to be fully satiated, and that's not allowed in the predator type. Yeah. So it's not as fresh as you might have wanted.
Yeah.
It's maybe
Well,
a day or 2 old. Luckily, they've not pumped it full of formaldehyde, which would have been a real problem. They've started doing that more and more of late. You've noticed there's something about something that George called memento mori, wanting to create some sort of lasting image of their dead loved ones. So something called a photograph.
I don't get why they want to keep a lasting image of the fucking corpses. They're dead. Close it. Give it to me.
So your hunger slaked. You hear George shuffling around between the graves, checking the bounds, and he comes back over to you and goes, "Here. There was somebody here before them louts. Said that they were from some sort of sheriff's office, and they didn't look like any police I've seen around. So
oh god!
I said I'd pass on a message, but
no. I need to double check my notes. Was it a man?
Yeah, it was a man.
Fucking Sheriff Dean. Did he tell you where it was going to be?
Said you'd know, so usual, but he did say that you should go as a matter of course.
Just leave some flowers at the grave.
Gotcha. The usual kind. I'll
Oh yeah.
I'll go to the market in the morning.
Cheers, George. Right. So,
Good night, sir.
yeah, I'm gonna go find Sheriff Dean. I don't know if you told me where the usual place is.
It's the you would know that it is the New Penny Bridge pub.
I'm gonna write that down really quick. Cool. Yeah. So I'm on my way to the New Penny Bridge. I keep my hood up as low as I can keep it. So people can only see the bottom half of my face, which is probably the more healthier looking.
Yeah, you don't look well. You look like you've been dredged up from the canal, mate.
Century.
Yeah. Thank goodness it wasn't the boardwalk, because you won't stop talking about it.
It was a bit of a bore, to be fair.
Okay, so it's the New Penny Bridge as you walk along the canal path and up the steps over the bridge to the pub. It's about 9 o'clock. It's pretty busy. It's a Friday, so all the factories have let off work for their half a day off, and it's getting pretty rowdy. It's getting to that point. People have had a few drinks. Some people are deeper in the cups than others, depending on when their shift let off. And you head straight to the back of the pub. And sitting alone at a table in a darkened corner is Sheriff. Isaac, it's about time you showed up. Stinks like bloody hell in here. So Sheriff Dean, he's a large man, and very intimidating looking, very big mutton chops. He looks almost like an old lion, with his kind of wild hair. Not your typical image of a Ventru. It looks more like a gangrel, if you're honest. But you know that it's his gruff appearance is backed up by gruff attitude. Okay. Right. I've got a job for you. Typical search and find. So, there's been an unruly child got out of line, and they need bringing in because it's getting to be a bit of a public issue. You don't need to ask questions; it'll all become clear, and the prince will discuss it further. But you need to find and locate Madame Sylvie. Do you know who I'm on about?
Yeah, I know Madame Sylvie, one of the Malks.
Yeah, airy fairy type. It's not her per se, but you know how the law of progeny works.
Oh, is there a kid?
Well, I did say it was a child-based problem, didn't I? In every sense of the word.
Right. Anything I should know? Overnight.
That's all you need to know right now. You just need to locate her, and I'll keep her busy while I come to collect.
So I'm going to use my first discipline of the evening.
Fabulous.
And I'm going to use my beckoning, which means I will have to do a rouse check.
Okay.
Because it's a 2-pointer. Success.
Excellent.
Don't get hungry. And I summon a rat to the table.
Oh, do you have to do that in here?
It's fine, it's fine. And I look at this rat and telepathically, using my feral speech, or feral whispers, find Madame Sylvie, come back to me.
What?
Reason, Sheriff.
Right, well, send a message, let me know what you find.
Aye, I'll send a rat.
Yeah, that ghoul of yours.
Oh yeah, George, yeah.
Nice bloke.
Yeah, he's sorry that he didn't wake me, but generally, if he doesn't know any of the Kindred, he doesn't know them.
Torpor, innit, mate?
Yeah, I
And on
needed
that, he stands up, nods, and leaves. Okay. Back to Mr. Cheshire.
Frank, can I just say that at the top of your voice acting reel, you need to put disgruntled northerner, because this is chef's kiss. It's if we got character art done, yours has to be George.
It's so good. It's perfection. Really is.
Sending.
I'm really glad you like it.
Sorry, I just
Really
had
good.
to shout that out.
Fabulous. So, Mr. Cheshire, you're heading to your usual haunt of salation and libation. So,
Yes, indeed.
what are you going to do?
How far is it?
It's about a 10-minute walk. You could get a hackney carriage or what's it called where they carry you on a thing? Palanquin. Palanquin.
As fabulous as that would be, I think after being locked up with a load of boring people, I'll just take the 10-minute walk, bit of fresh air.
Yeah. You take a little stroll down past the town hall, down the hedgerow, and you take a right down past the corn exchange, and on the corner at the top of Call Lane is Latte Bohem.
And I'll go around to the side door that I think John mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a secret knock?
John, do you want there to be a secret knock?
There's not a secret knock, but there is a secret menu item.
Secret menu.
Or, like, there's a secret. It's not the gangbang. But you have to, it's You just, well, I don't know, because I don't want to alienate potential customers, but also I don't want to make it too easy for people to get to. I think if you just say that you're friends with Mr. Ennis, that gets you in.
Fair enough. And I've been here before, so yeah, I'll knock and say that to whoever's guarding the door.
It's Peter that draws back the little paladin and goes, "Yes, I've seen you before. Go on in. You know what to do."
Thank you, Peter. I'll Oh God, is this pre-decimalization?
Yes, we're in pounds, shillings, and pence, darling.
Oh God, I'll slide him a shilling as I walk past then.
Very generous. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
You too, Peter, my man.
Yeah.
Saunter up. Mood is already improved.
The shilling disappears up his cuff.
Yeah. Saunter up. My mood's already improving because I know that I'm about to detach from reality.
Excellent. So you enter into the room of sprawling cushions and languid forms of people who are off chasing some sort of mythical beast. And you take up your spot. An easterly corner, back against the wall. The pipe finds its way unnaturally, quickly into your hands. And you take a long pull. How do you feel?
Suddenly everything's a lot more interesting than it was.
You feel the warmth filling through you and the tingling in your extremities. You take a big exhale. Your head tilts back. You're home. Mr. Ennis, how are you finding your business this evening?
Well, that's actually something I wanted to ask you, because I thought my business was going to find Mr. Chesh.
Well, it's good for you. What are you going to do?
Well, that's I mean, I assumed that what David Greenwood wanted me to do was to go to the event and to find
I
Mr.
think
Cheshire and encourage him to come back to.
Yeah. So Lady Greenwood had somebody in mind, and you needed to basically keep them there and procure them for you. So keep them in a space where they're not going to want to leave, and then summon her once they arrive.
Sure. Well, it's probably been a little bit of a while since our meeting, so I probably would have conducted a little bit of business, paid off, spoken to somebody about a supply chain issue. Well, that's topical. And then and make my way back. And as I it's so many problems. And as I get back, I remember that Lady Greenwood did request that I ensure there is refreshment. So I think I'd probably is that young gentleman still zoned out?
Yeah, he's still there, but the pipe somehow managed to get its way back into his hand. But he doesn't seem to have moved since you last saw him.
Okay. I'd sweep back upstairs. I'd find him. I'd sort of carry him for another hit into a different room that has a lockable door. There is a hooker in there. Some particularly nice, a nice blend of various things, as well as the normal accoutrement that I have in my rooms. And I would lay him down, and I'll put a sign on the door that just says reserved. Keep.
Private function.
And then I would, private function. Yeah, exactly. And then I would sort of, I quite like to just sit there and in the main part, I like to sit there and sort of take in the ambience and look at my handiwork, a little slice of whatever you call this.
Heaven.
Heaven. Your own words.
Um,
Excellent. Could you make me a wit plus intelligence roll, please, to see if you notice the particular
But I can't.
person?
Oh, there we go. I can, and it's a wow. That's a massive pool. 4 successes plus a crit on the hunger.
That's
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't
Fabulous.
quite see how a messy crit works. When you're
Yeah,
looking around
it's
for
like
someone.
I'm gonna rule it for my
Yeah.
games that it's a success, but not how you intend it to.
that's pretty much what
I have
next
seen a
success
rule. I have
is.
seen a rule where people make it an increase in hunger,
Okay.
Yeah.
as the sort of the downside, rather than an overt breach of masquerade or anything like that.
Well,
Because a normal crit means double dice, so you'd get it'd be 2 successes instead of 1. With a messy success, it's a success, but as Fran said, not how you would like it. Rules as written.
Like but you turn around so quickly you fall off your chair. That
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see how it happens. We'll rule of cool it. So you spot the languid figure of Mr. Cheshire on his usual cushion. You've seen him before, but never really spoken or even sampled him before. You look at him up and down and you think, that's him. That's definitely him. Those foppish curls, that double-breasted brocade waistcoat, that screams what Greenwood wants. Okay? So, you head over without introduction and almost a little bit uncoolly introduce yourself.
I hope you're having a nice time. I'm Mr. Ennis, proprietor of this establishment.
Oh, hi.
You see this? Yeah, you see this kind of fairly tall, because Antiochus is tall and he's not stacked like broad, but he's strong. And you just see him like leaning over you, kind of with this mustache, not as obnoxious as Pith Helmet from before, but this like really, and you hate this because it is an ugly broken nose that Antiochus has, and you don't like that.
Okay, so it's still in like Kit, you're still in like a haze state, but whoa, this guy is close to you.
So, anything I can help you with, old chap?
No, I just I like to introduce myself from time to time. You know, show my face around. Keeps people talking, I suppose.
Yeah, all publicity's good. You could show me your face maybe from a couple of steps back. I'm sorry, it's just, flying a bit high at the moment. You're quite close.
But that's fine. Let me take a seat, and I'll just sort of plop myself down on a cushion.
Oh, much better, much better.
Okay.
My apologies.
I was craning. You're incredibly tall.
Well, that's the genes, isn't it? Wait, yeah, no, Gregor Mendel's and genes and stuff had been around, right?
Yeah.
That was the 1700s, right?
Do you know you were 1700?
The origins of species, and we're thinking about genes, natural selection. Yes.
I'm annoyed because I couldn't make the joke about like blue jeans because those haven't been invented.
No.
No, I'm
Speaking
of
sure
which-
they have. Blue jeans were in the States. They were all over the States.
They're an American thing. Usually worn by railroad workers because of their hard-wearing nature. Patented by Mr. Levi Strauss.
Well, the moment's passed now,
Strauss.
so when it says jeans, I'll just say.
Levi's were made by the Tremere.
Yeah. I mean,
So
It's canon
expected.
now. Oh, sorry, sorry, Blah, go for it.
we're getting bogged down in history.
None of this has been edited out.
Well, it makes us real people being fake vampires. I'll just say I
vampires.
never really could wrap my head around that science stuff.
Well, does it really matter that much? I suppose in the end, we are what we are. Whether or not we were apes one day, I think that seems undignified. But anyway, we are humans now.
Yes, I know. Is it that undignified to be an ape? They seem to have much simpler lives. They just, when they're hungry, they eat. When they're tired, they sleep. When they're so inclined, they have sex with each other, and they don't ponce around making governments and oppressing each other. I did read something the other day that apparently they do bully each other, which maybe that means we are related after all. It seems they're just as terrible fuckers as we are.
I also heard that they use their own feces as a projectile.
I mean, if you read some of the things people write in the Times, I think humans do the same as well.
Oh, I don't read the newspapers.
I don't even believe the date in them these days. They're liars, the whole lot of them.
All right. Antiochus, while you're sort of keeping him talking, you are very painfully aware that you need to keep him here, and you also need to figure out a way of getting Lady Greenwood here as well to make her
Right.
connection.
I would. Okay, yeah. So I make an excuse and I head back downstairs.
Mhm.
Out the door. In fact, I tell Peter, because he's at the door. I give him a half crown, and I say, "Give this to one of the beggars,
Mhm.
and say there's another 1 minute if they bring Lady Greenwood back here as soon as possible."
Yes, sir. Very good. The usual sources, or somebody who we haven't spoken to before?
I will leave that up to your judgment. Just make sure they don't smell too bad. She has sensibilities.
Sir, I can't. This is Gold Lane. I cannot promise, but I will try.
I believe in you. You've not failed me before.
Your faith in me makes me take great joy in my work, and you can't tell whether or not he's being sarcastic. Bow and walks
He's
out,
Russian, so I have no idea.
and walks out into the street. Just don't get him talking about Siberia. Okay, don't get him talking about Siberia because
I won't.
he won't shut up.
Someone else. Yeah, but yep, no, that's absolutely fine. I won't. You know that. Andy will absolutely do that now.
Excellent.
First opportunity he gets.
I
Be
mean,
a
I'm
separate-
very inquisitive, but yeah, I'm probably gonna ask.
I feel like we just need a mini-series where we interview all the NPCs, like This Is Your Life.
How many voices am I going to have to do?
The Nosferatu is the host.
Okay. All right, let's bring it back. So
Yeah.
while you're gonna head back inside, and while you're waiting, we're gonna see if there was any news on that rat, Isaac. Right. Okay. Okay.
There's definitely rats in Leeds, especially in the 1800s. I'm gonna get a response.
There's a lot of rats. They've got places to go, people to eat.
In this timer, I have used my obscure do the minimum one, just so people don't disturb me. I don't want to talk to people. So I've just done Cloak of Shadows. I've not moved. I've just basically stayed here.
Okay, so you're still sat in the pub waiting for this rat.
Yeah.
Excellent, cool. The night's pressing on. It's now about 11 o'clock. The patrons in this pub are getting rowdy. This is before licensing laws. Last orders aren't going to be for a good few hours. And the sweat and the salt and the beer spilt on the floor, and people rubbing up against each other. The soliciting of more licentious activities of the cheaper variety.
Well, I say.
I say. And then you hear the smashing of glass, and one of the barmaids has dropped a tray and she's cut her finger. Can you make me a rouse check, please? The scent of the blood mingles in with the sweat. Oh, is that?
I feel it. I'm back onto 2 hunger again. Just
back onto 2 hunger, and that little scratch is back. That dead lady, the tuberculosis lady from earlier in the night, has really not cut it. They're not as fresh as they used to be. They're leaving it longer and longer before they're putting them to rest. Usually it was somebody died, they put them in a hole in the ground. Not so anymore.
Thanks.
Okay, she's managed to sort of staunch her finger with one of the dirty bar cloths, and she's just taking herself into a back room, looking kind of sorry for herself. And the patron's pretty annoyed that his pints now in bits on the floor. Can you make me I'm going to assume it's a wits roll to see if you can see the rat in any corners of the room, or
A 10 with wits.
Yeah, let's go with animal Ken.
With wits.
You're with wits, yeah.
Cool, so that makes it 5. 3 successes.
Fabulous. You see between the legs of the patrons, like the little slither of a tail going behind the skirting board, and within sort of 2-3 minutes, it appears out from the skirting board, underneath the skirting board behind you, up the bar stool leg, up your leg, and onto your shoulder.
You're a rat boy.
Oh no! Like rolling the rat, like yeah. I can't do it.
You rat. Good ball horrible histories.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing rolling the rat. Sorry.
What about Rizzo from Muppets? And I am here for the food.
These are all so good.
Too many rats.
He whispers. She's just leaving the hotel, but she's moving fast, and she's heading to the well-to-do bits of town with the big buildings, the big tall buildings. Yeah, the ones with all the big ropes up the front. What's the word? The columns? Columns?
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's where she's gone.
I pull out a little bit of food from my pocket and just feed it to the rat, tap on its head, and send it on its way.
See you later. And it puts it in the little pooch of its cheek, and
Well,
back down and out before the landlord spots it, because it'll probably get smashed if
I haven't moved, so it's just kind of like I've just appeared to everyone around me, but I think they're too drunk to care.
They're too deep in their own conversations to notice. It's pretty heaving and pretty busy in the pub. As long as you keep the hood down, you should be all right getting out of there.
So I leave and head to the columns.
Okay. Excellent. While you're doing that, Mr. Ennis, within about 15 minutes, there's a knock on the side door, and Peter shouts up to you, "Sir, our guest is here."
Wonderful. Show her up, please.
Excellent. And you, sweeping in very quickly, the trails of her skirts wafting behind her like a big silk pool. Lady Ava Greenwood marches into your establishment. Well, that was certainly a speedy acquisition. Almost like it was fate or something.
But we both know there's no such thing as fate. Or is there?
Oh, come on. Don't tell me you're not a romantic.
You see the sort of people that I cater for? There's always an element of romance to be found. But also, it's just something. I don't know. Like the sort of tarnish you can't quite get rid of off some piece of silverware.
I mean, speaking of the silverware, it does look good. I'm very glad I recommended that decorator to you.
Absolutely. They did a fantastic job. As promised, I will not ask you about where you got it all from. That makes sense. Anyway,
Fabulous.
there is refreshments waiting in the room. There's a sign on the door. Everything's ready.
Fabulous. Kit, you, your eyes flutter open momentarily. You were getting real comfy in that corner, but your eyes sort of, you hear the sound of like a woman's heel on the wooden bits of the floor where there isn't carpet.
Size 6.
Mm-hmm. And almost like that, your eyes flick open, and it's the woman from before.
She's really tall too. Oh no, I'm sat down. I'm really high. What's tall when you sit on a cushion? Huh. I'm just out of it right now.
Completely. But almost like the sight of her sort of brings you round a little bit. Even though you are floaty and numb fingers, she snaps you round a little bit, the sight of her, because you're quite surprised to see her here in a place like this.
And she's talking to Mr. Ennis.
Yeah, you see her talking to Mr. Ennis. You can't quite hear what she's saying. You do hear something about refreshments, but you don't really hear much else of their conversation. They seem to know each other quite well, though. You're quite a good read on sort of relationships between people. They seem to know each other quite well, and she gives a practiced laugh and smile. And you see her eyes flick from her peripheral vision to your direction and back, and the sort of the flick of her eyes sends almost like an electric shock through you. Once she's finished speaking to Mr. Ennis, she starts taking some very careful steps over you, striding almost directly over Mr. Walrus Mustache in the tweed suit, who's fucking paralytic on the floor. And she stops in front of you and smiles, descends almost vertically downwards, like you're not really sure how her knees did that, and smiles at you, and she picks up a seat on one of the cushions, shuffles around very gracefully and says, "So, little bird tells me you're a poet. Mr. Cheshire, is it? Odd."
Yes, it is. We met at the museum earlier tonight. Lady Greenwood. I bow, but I fear I can't stand up right now.
We can dispense with the formalities, I'm sure. So you were, you had me enraptured at your views on beauty and the nature of life. I'm sorry I had another engagement and we didn't part formally, but very much quite like to know what you have to say further on the issue of life and where you see yourself going with it?
Well, seems that life, not to sound nihilistic about it, but all the preaching they do in the church about hell, but knowing that all beauty is going to fade away in this life and we all end up old and decrepit and rotting away. I mean, that's the real hell. Beauty, unlike those exquisite artifacts in the museum, the beauty that any of us make is fated to fade away. It seems like life is just a sort of a cruel joke. As for where I'm going, no idea. I was sent here to study, found the lecturers to be boorish and more inclined to repeat the words of their heroes than try and have an original thought themselves, so now I'm just trying to find...
Well, I've always found the formal education system to be frightfully dull and tedious, so they're not going to give you the kind of education that I can.
And what sort of education would that be?
One in the world of beauty. What do you think?
We've definitely piqued my interest.
I think we should chat further. Would you mind awfully joining me? Can you stand?
I think I can just about manage. I've not been token since you walked in, so I'm
She
probably still enough to stand.
stands up in the exact way that she sat down, straight up. Like there was no lean, there was no wobble, straight up. And she holds a hand out to help you get up out of this dense pile of cushions, which is odd because ladies don't usually do that. They're the ones that need the lifting.
I'm quite a modern young fellow. I don't believe in these gender roles. I'll take a hand. And,
Okay, she pulls you to your feet with surprising strength, as she's quite a thin woman, especially with that S-bend wasp waist that she's cultivating.
Chesh is instantly aroused by the show of strength.
She senses your arousal. It's no. And she leads you towards the door that is marked reserved for private function. And she knocks softly. Is Antiochus on the other side of the door? Or is he in this room? I can't remember.
Antiochus has just been kind of milling about. Probably downstairs for a little bit. He just kind of gets a bit stuck there and thinks he wanted a bit of space. No, the only person in the function room is the young gentleman who was borderline passed out. It's unlimited supply of whatever narcotic machines.
Fabulous.
He's probably not even noticed by that he's been moved.
Excellent. So she opens the door and says, "Ah, wonderful. Do come in." Herself down in her straight up and down manner on one of the cushions.
Sorry, it crashed just as soon as you said, "Do come in."
Okay. Shall I start again?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. She closes the door softly and sits down on one of the silken cushions. A little bit more relaxed this time, sort of leaning and sprawling her legs out onto the rug. But does sit down in that very straight up and down manner as much as her very tight garments will allow. And she reaches forward to the hookah that's in the centre of the room and takes a pipe in one hand and in the other and passes one to yourself. So, beauty, eh? Youth. What would you say if you were to never age another day, you could spend all your time pursuing beauty, art, poetry, flesh.
I would say, call me Dorian Gray because it sounds well worth one's soul.
Oh, dear. Dorian Gray. Scurrilous drivel compared to what I can show you. No portraits in the attic, and it's not your soul I'd ask on return.
Mm. What would it cost to live this dream then?
It would cost daylight, humanity. As far as I'm concerned, the pros far outweigh the cons. I never liked summer anyway.
It seems so few of the more interesting pursuits available to society occur in the daytime anyway. Chesh finds this whole conversation purely hypothetical, by the way.
Yeah.
What is humanity? I mean, humans murder each other over land and their own warped constructs of what it means to be human, religion.
But there's something so enthralling about humanity, even when you can't be part of it. She says this more to herself than to you.
I suppose they act as a good mirror and reminder of what's important.
She takes a long drag on the pipe and lets out a long thin stream of smoke. This is possibly the first time you've seen any sort of colour in her very pale face, which is kind of interesting, really. I mean, take this unfortunate creature here. Would you say his life is worth living?
I mean, he's here trying to escape it, so probably not.
And what would you do if you could give him a battle?
Well, I suppose it would depend on how interesting I found him. I'm not inclined to help the boring, shall we say. There's enough boring people in the world.
That's certainly true. Tonight was a prime example. For instance, when I look at him, I see nothing. He's just flesh. When I look at you, there's something else. You see something flash across her eyes, which is almost like hunger.
I sort of mildly flinch at it, but I don't pull away.
Okay.
It's almost like, oh, was that real? Was that hallucination? So I jerk and a double blink.
She laughs at your little flinch. No. What would you say? If I could give you a life more interesting, one surrounded by beauty and pleasures and endless nights of possibilities. Stronger, cleverer, more beautiful than anyone you've seen.
I'd say yes, please, but also wonder how such a thing could even be possible.
She leans back a second and gestures at the hooker. Please, let's stand for the ceremony.
I'll take a long drag and blow a smoke ring. It's something I've never mastered in real life, so I've decided my fictional counterpart is very good at it.
Excellent.
I say our character would say, do a dex.
I only have stats for a vampire. Okay, I don't have
No,
stats for a
it
human.
would just be a D10.
I would like to point out that the skill with his tongue is spoken of throughout Leeds. So.
Okay, 2 then.
Do you want me to roll 2d10, Fran, to see if I fuck up my smoke ring?
It's alright. I'm going to say that you can do it if you've got a legendary tongue. It's fine. It's just,
I'm having that on my tombstone.
so please do.
You've got a tongue, it's fine.
Okay. By the time you've inhaled, blown your ring, exhaled, closed your eyes for a second, open again, she is very close to you now. It's almost like she's shifted across a couple of cushions and she's leaning in quite close. Not quite close enough to touch you, but she's all up in your space. There's only...
I'm entranced by her, so I don't flinch this time. I'm also full of
I feel
open.
compelled by this woman. She smiles and says, there'll be things you'll have to sacrifice. Are you still willing?
What do I have to sacrifice? You said daylight and humanity.
Everyone you know, your family, friends, the life you have now. The person you are, Christopher Cheshire, is gone, and a new one begins. Call it a rebirth, if you will.
And what would you get out of this?
The pleasure of your company, your creativity, the opportunity to educate you in your new life.
In that case, I couldn't refuse such a gracious offer.
Oh, I knew you were the one. And she's so close now. And you think she's going to lean in for a kiss, but she quite powerfully puts a hand on your shoulder, pulls back your collar and sinks her teeth into your neck. You didn't notice that she had sharp teeth before, but they clearly must be. And they're through your entire body. There is like an explosion of pleasure like you have never felt in your entire life. It's like every nerve ending is on fire. Okay? And she drinks. And she drinks. And she drinks. And there's a moment of panic. You can feel your pulse in your own ears. Your throat is starting to become dry. You gasp for breath. You try and cry out. You reach out towards her and no sound comes out. You hear thud, thud, thud in your ears as your pulse comes to a glacial drip. She leans back and you fall into the silken cushions. She pulls a pin out of her hair, bites the glove off her hand, pricks her finger, and offers it to you. In the words of Lewis Carroll, "Drink me, start your new life."
Barely able to move, inches away from death, I'll lean forward and drink.
Okay, the minute your tongue and this blood connect, it's not like blood you've ever tasted when you've got a paper cut or you've cut yourself and you suck your finger. It's sweet, it's thick, it coats the entire inside of your mouth as you drink. You feel your nerves, this time almost like a cold, where before they were on fire, now it's icy, but it still feels like the most intense pleasure you've ever felt. And she pulls her hand away from you, but you want more. You crave it. She smiles. You want more?
My mouth moves a bit, but too focused on more, can't form words, so I just sort of nod hungrily and try and move forward.
Well, my child. And she gestures at the man unconscious on the floor. Bon appetit.
Do I feel like I have strength to move now, or am I still like...
The cold is now subsiding, and it's replaced by an itch, a niggling hunger in the back of your brain. And as soon as she says bon appetit, there is all you can think about is sinking your teeth into this guy and draining him of all life essence, essentially.
Vampire now, cat's grace. Like mess of scatter cushions on the floor, but with a weird amount of dexterity, stand straight up, move quickly between the cushions. I just pounce on him and sink my teeth into his neck.
Very good. Very good. I knew I made the right decision.
If she doesn't stop me, though, I will just keep drinking. So
No, it's fine. That's fine. She smiles and she sees that he's.
I love the taste
Where
of the
at first he's sort of like when you sunk your teeth and he's sort of contracted, almost tense, and he's starting to go limper and limper and limper. That's enough. Do you let go?
Yeah. At her words, I'll.
Excellent. She takes it. She takes it from you, and she sort of lays him across one of the cushions. Oh, he's gonna feel that tomorrow. So, the Kindred.
Well, I have to say, this is close to the last thing I expected.
No one ever expects it. You were chosen. I didn't pluck you out of thin air, my love.
And yet you still gave me a choice. A choice even though I still don't know fully what it means, I don't regret, but I appreciate it being given.
If it wasn't a choice, child. Do you think you could have stopped me?
Not in the slightest, which is why I say I appreciate it being offered.
We may be monsters, my love, but we're not barbarians.
I always thought monsters were the words used by ordinary people to describe merely the powerful.
You're going to have more power than you can barely comprehend, my child. And it's now time to begin your education in earnest. Okay, and she sits back down on one of the cushions and gestures you to, and pats one next to her to sit next to her. In this time, Isaac, how's your tracking going?
You tell me, storyteller. I've made my way to the pillars.
Okay, you've made your way to the civic quarter, and
Yes.
opposite town hall there are some like squares of houses, and they're all very large buildings, 3 stories with columned front doors, which is what your little squeaky friend was sort of talking about. As you sort of walk around the court, you notice that there's sort of like back alleys that run parallel to each sort of side of the square that these houses are on, and there's like a run of back steps going down each one to their basement kitchens.
Are there any people like begging on the street?
Not in this part of town, no.
Okay.
The constables move them on. So if you were to walk up to the front doors of these houses, you are distinctly out of place.
Just to cover these parts of my eyes. And is there anything that's obvious that Madame Sylvie's around? I mean, I'm sure that a lot of the Kindred in the area know what Madame Sylvie's about.
Yeah, as you're sort of walking around the square along the rows of houses, there's a row of houses on the left-hand side. And as you walk past their front, they've got like bay front windows in their grand parlours. And you see sat in this bay window, in this parlour of this well-to-do house, a people sat around the table in a circle. There's cloth over all the lamps, and people are sat holding hands. You know that Madame Sylvie is a very well-known spiritualist amongst the kind. She uses her talents for communicating with ghosts to I don't want to say scam, but scam the kind out of their money. But she's very popular with the spiritualist movement that seems to be taking hold at the minute among fashionable circles.
Cool. So I'm going to activate my unseen presence, which is another hunger check, because it's 2 points. Success.
Fabulous. You don't get any hungrier.
So yeah. So and I wait until a very opportune moment. I'm guessing I can hear what's happening inside just for my vampiric senses.
Yeah. So you can hear like hushed whispers of the kind, and the voice and goes, "Now please, is anybody there? Can you hear me? If there is a spirit in this room right now, please make a sound, make yourself known now."
I stand to one side of the door and I slam it open, not making any attraction to myself, but to the door itself.
Okay, you're not unseen anymore because you've come into contact with something.
I suppose as long as you attract to yourself, attract attention, yeah.
Yeah. So she, you hear one of the women that was sat around the table let out a scream and then go, as she's clearly fainted.
So as I do, they're all focused on the front door. I'm gonna try and see if I can make way on the back.
Okay. Yeah, you hear the shuffling of feet coming towards the front door. They've all got up from the table and are sort of looking around and trying to like sort of figure out. Even Madame Sylvie herself is looking shocked, and she's the biggest charlatan sham out there. Balsa wood tables, fishing lines, a lot. So as you head round the back, and this is nowhere near as well lit as the front of the street, but that makes no odds to you, for you are kindred and you can see with your heightened senses. So the steps down the back, it's clearly where the like the servants and the cook conduct a lot of their work. It's where the bins are, and there's like a wooden door with like a small glass square window in it, and there is a lamp on in there, but you can't see any people.
I'm gonna use my feral speech to see if there's any rats in there, so I can double check there's no people in there.
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna guess some rats near. Anyone around?
Wiggling out from behind one of the bins, there's a little fat brown rat with a piece of potato peel hanging out his little mouth.
Oh, you're cute. You're back. How are you doing, Ratatouille?
What's Ratatouille?
Your name now. It's some French dish, I don't know.
My name's Stanley.
Oh, I see.
Well, that's what my mum calls me, but we're all called Stanley.
I'm noting that.
Same. Oh.
My mum's had 342 children.
Oh, she's
We're
quite
all
young
called
then.
Stanley.
She's quite young then.
Oh yeah. I mean, a figure's not what it was. Oh, I don't know. I've been. They threw out a ham bone earlier. I've been pretty busy.
Can you see anyone around you now?
Oh, I can see if I can squeeze under the door, but I'm kind of full. All right. So he scurries off to the door, and there's like a little gap under the door, and he tries to like scriggle under, and you think for a minute his little fat butt is stuck under the door, but he manages to squidge himself underneath, and he's through. You wait for a minute. You don't hear anything. And then a little nose comes out from under the door. He goes, "The coast is clear, but you're gonna have to let me out. I can't get back through the door."
That's fine. Step back. I'll open the door.
So cute.
Just as I open the door, I drop a load of crumbs in my pocket next to the door.
Oh, thanks, mate. I'll take that to my missus. She's also called Stanley.
Of course, yes. Stanley, you take care, Stanley, or the little Stanleys. All right. You just spread it around. If you need any more, come to Graveyard Road. I'll sort you out.
Oh, cheers, mate.
And
This is so good.
I make my way through the back door to Madame Sylvie's.
Okay, the kitchen is empty. Obviously, the sound of the scream from upstairs has got all of the staff in a tizzy and running up to see what's going on with their employers. So the kitchen's empty. They must have left it in a hurry because the kettle is still on the range and it's starting to whistle.
I take the kettle off. Like, no use
Taking it
wasting this tea.
Bring it out. Okay. Excellent. So in this room is quite simply furnished. It's a kitchen, but there's also like a very small single bed in here. You think this is where the cook lives, essentially. It's not very nice. It's clearly not as grand as the rest of the house. There's some back stairs leading up towards the rest of the house in the corner.
Before I head upstairs, before I start trying to sneak upstairs, I'm going to take some of the some food. Put a bit in my pocket, whatever I can fit in my pockets, and leave a little note and just said, "Taken by Stanley."
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
And I try to probably more sneak my way upstairs, see if I can like blend back into the crowd that's upstairs.
Mhm.
What's one extra person?
Well, it's there's not that many. There's not that many people that you would. There's probably, including the staff, there's probably about 10 people.
Okay, so once you get upstairs, I'm going to just find a dark corner and get to my powers. Go in and just activate Cloak of Shadows till people leave.
Cool.
Which is it's a 1 level, so.
Okay. They seem to be all crowded around a woman in her early 20s in her pink lacy evening dress, laced to within an inch of her life, being revived with like some smelling salts and someone with a fan fanning her with a napkin.
So Elizabeth from Pirates Caribbean
Sylvie is looking kind of concerned, but is sitting back at the table. Obviously, she's taking this very seriously because she still wants to make her money from this family.
until the kind leave. Let her finish her thing.
Okay.
Let the kind leave, and then from my little dark corner, just say, Sylvie.
Okay. So you're gonna wait until she's finished her spiel.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. She ushers the once the lady's been revived and she's had a sip of water and she's like, right, I just a small fright, everything's fine. And she says, everybody, you must rejoin the table. The circle to the spirit world is still open. We must make sure it is properly closed. And she does her spiel. She says, everybody, please rejoin the circle. Join your hands. All spirits, if you are still among us now, go back towards the spirit world. Do not be trapped in this mortal realm any longer. And she throws her head back with dramatic force. Oh, I can see it now. The portal, it is closing. The spirits are leaving. Oh no! And she throws her head forwards on the table in an apparent moment of pique. I can't think of the word. A fit of pique, that's the word. She doesn't move for a solid 30 seconds. She's well practiced at this. She knows what's going to get a rise out of the kind. Start looking at each other. Is she all right? I did say not to. She's French. She's French. Look what she did to poor Mildred. Look at her. She sits up. It is complete. And
Right, I think you've got a career here.
The younger woman is like really impressed, like, oh bravo, Madam Sylvie, well done. And they adjourn to their parlour for tea, and the man of the house, quite young for somebody in a house this grand. He must be in his sort of mid-30s. He goes, terribly good, Madam Sylvie, terribly good. I shall recommend you to the dinner club. I shall definitely recommend you. Mr. Porter, our butler, will pay you your fee and see you to the door. Good evening to you. And she bows and she says, oh, thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Thank you very much. Anytime you have spiritual needs, be sure to give your friends my card. And they adjourn to their drawing room for brandy and cigars, because that's what people did in Victorian times. Not yet. You are alone.
I pull my hood down.
Yeah.
Sylvie.
hate it when you Nosferatu do that.
You owe me for the fucking door.
Oh, come on, you know they were eating it up.
They were each day took even more with the door climbing up. Anyway,
Oh,
I'm on the sheriff's orders.
oh, what does he want now? I've not done anything.
Not you, it's your kid.
Kid? Oh, Matilda. Oh no, what has she done this time?
She's gone right.
The gift has come to her stronger than I've ever seen. She's one of those who has all the answers but none of the questions.
So, like most Malkavians. Most, not yourself. Not present company included, of course. You have all the answers and none of the questions. I mean, I saw tonight. Fantastic, Madam Sylvie. Fantastic. Brava.
Hey, I'm French. We invented sarcasm.
I'm Yorkshire. You may have invented sarcasm, but Jesus is Yorkshire.
I think you're misquoted. It's the Pope may be French, but Jesus is English.
Why not
There you
both?
go.
Yeah, but we're in Yorkshire now, Madam Sylvie. Right.
Oh, don't I fucking know it? Right.
Kings of Wit.
Right. Get your wrinkled face out of here for a minute, because I need to get fucking paid. All right.
Right. Meet you outside. I'll be in the alleyway round side.
Fine.
We need to talk.
I'm to try and run away before you say anything of that bullshit.
I won't even try running. My people are watching. And I walk out.
Okay.
And as I walk out, using my feral whispers, I telepathically tell rats, keep an eye on her. All Stanleys, keep an eye on her.
Calling all Stanleys.
380 of them. This is a swarm of rats.
Stanley up your free. Stanley up your free. Come in.
Wait a second. That's not a person. That's 380.
328 rats.
They're not called Stanley.
Oh, God, Stanley. This is canon now, apparently. All right.
This is a bit every. Hey, I have an uncle, Stanley.
Stanley 6, come in. This is Stanley 7, can you read? We have eyes on the target.
The army of Stanley rats aside, you go back out the way you've come. Luckily, none of the staff are in the kitchen as you go back out the kitchen door. They are serving the brandy and cigars and tea, to be more genteel. So they're all in the top floor of the house. You walk back round to the front of the house and sort of wait in the shadow of one of the gas lamps. And you see the front door open and the figure of a tall man with a large hooked nose. And you then see the figure of Madame Sylvie come out.
Sylvie.
Yes, what is it now? Look, if you knew that question, if I knew that question, you wouldn't have come to find me, huh?
Guilty, not mine.
Oh, but you know how children are now, so rebellious. They just want to go off and be bohemian, and I don't know.
I know. I mean, look, you're a much older generation myself. I know Bohemian. Definitely. I mean, I've seen current corridors. I watch them. Usually when they're sleeping. But
Right.
there's been talk from the kind around the goose and gander. Wild animals apparently attacking there. It's not your child, is it?
Wild animals? Attacking what, sorry? Attacking the kind. I taught her better, but she's a little bit stretched at late. The transition didn't sit with her as well as it might have. I'm assuming the sheriff wants you to bring him to me. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I'm insane, but I'm not stupid.
And by the looks of things, the kid, both of you to get together. You need to go see the sheriff.
I don't know where the fuck she is, so I can probably help try and find
What's her name?
him.
What's the name? Matilda?
Matilda, yeah.
Yeah. Right. I'll go check Goose and Gander.
Oh, so you're asking me to deliver myself into the hands of mob justice, right?
You deliver yourself to sheriff. I'll bring your child up as a favor, which means you'll owe me.
Okay. You recalled that your objective was to only acquire Madame Sylvie.
Oh, was it? All right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'll just right. I'll take you.
Okay.
If we find Matilda on our way, we're taking her as well together.
Look, she's been hiding from me for at least the last 5 years.
How long ago did you turn her?
Like 10 years ago. I mean, she's young. Yeah.
Kids. Right.
Look, she told me she could make it on her own. Who am I to stop her?
She's a
The
mad
omens
kid.
were good.
You know what your clan is like, Madame Sylvie. You know your clan aren't exactly always there.
I don't even know what myself is like. Come on.
Yeah, true. No one knows the
Anyway.
true self, not me yourself.
Anyway.
Well, let's go
Right.
see Sheriff Drew. Drew? I'm going to keep going back to Dean.
Dean.
Yeah.
Dean. Yeah, Sheriff Dean.
We'll go see Sheriff Dean.
Okay,
and we'll go
and
from there.
she teeters off with her many shawls and beads clinky clanking into the night.
Beats.
Okay. The door in the table upstairs back room has been closed for quite some time. Okay. Antiochus, you've got a business to run. It's about midnight. What have you been doing with the rest of your evening?
Might have gone and enjoyed a little bit of my past time.
Oh yeah?
I would have gone for a wander around the streets. I would have found the riversides, the most nefarious parts. I'm looking for trouble. I trust Peter to look after Latte Bohem,
Mm-hmm.
and I trust Lady Ava Greenwood to not leave too much of a scene. I have people they can clean up if there's much mess, but I trust her capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm assuming she's probably older than me by a good amount.
She's
been allowed to sire. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been around for
she's
6 years now,
she's
haven't
of the ninth generation, so she's
Ah.
older than
Exactly. I'm looking specifically for violent.
Violet.
Violent.
Oh, violence.
Fucking
Violence.
attacks, that kind of thing.
Cool. You walk down Briggate because you know this is where the most rough and ready members of Leeds society live. So this is where there's all the pubs that the workers of the mills in Armley and Thwaite, and the brewery at the Tetley, and the factories surrounding, they all go after work, and it's a Friday night, so it's quite busy. But it's also underneath the viaduct there is a Turkish bathhouse, and there's also lots of pickpockets, cutthroats, prostitution, a wretched hive of scum and villainy, I think sums it up. So it's pretty easy. If you walk down there and you there's a pub sort of about halfway down the street, like quite not as big as the New Penny Bridge, but it's pretty busy. And you sort of see there's two large burly blokes sort of squaring up to each other outside.
That seems fine. A fight's a fight. I'm looking for real Like, I'm looking for people preying on those who are not able to defend themselves. Nice.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
fine. They're all, they're adults. They can sort out their beef between them. No, I'm looking specifically for those who are preying on the weak of society.
Preying on. Okay, someone who's preying on the weak. Okay. You walk past,
Cool, yeah.
you walk past the blokes fighting over some sort of spilled pint, burned blubber or something. You keep walking down the street, and before you get to the bridge, you see a man, and he is wearing a very, very threadbare sort of trench coat, hat sort of pulled low, and he is surrounded by 2 or 3 sort of ragged-looking children, and he's clearly enraged, incensed, and he's like, "Where's the rest of it? Where's the rest of it? Come on, you little rat! Where's the rest of it?" And you see these children look terrified. They're ragged. None of them have got shoes. And the little boy that he's bearing down, and he must be about 7 or 8. He's shaking. He's terrified. He's like, "I told you, where's the rest?" And he reaches up to as if he's about to strike him. What do you do?
How close am I?
About 10 foot.
Oh, really? I don't need to activate any discipline. I imagine. Can I just grab his hand as he raises it up? I want to just.
What's your problem, mate?
Oh, you're not gonna leave those kids alone, aren't you? And I'm going to activate my one potent ability, lethal body.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna squeeze and I'm gonna break his wrist.
Oh, mate, what the fuck is wrong?
I'm just gonna squeeze.
And he's
Leave him
like,
alone, or I'll be both of them.
he wildly tries to swing at you to try and get you off him. Can you make me?
That's a bad choice.
So it's gonna be.
I do aggravated health damage to mortals. By the way, but I have my body.
Okay. Fabulous. So his swing comes to nothing, and he's just flailing as you're like hanging onto his smushed wrist. The children look even more terrified than they did before. A little girl who's got like a bit like lank blonde hair and like mud smeared up her face starts to cry.
Go away.
Yes, mister. And she grabs the boy who was being threatened by the hand, and she runs. And she runs over the bridge and keeps running. And the other little boy follows her at like full pelt. They are absolutely terrified of you.
Mm-hmm. I haven't let go of this first guy, the guy's wrist, and I'm just going to turn to him and say, "Look, don't know exactly what that was about, but poor performance."
Oh mate, you don't know anything about my life. These rats, they owe me money. They owe me. I give them room and board and roof over their heads, and this is how they repay me.
They're children.
And
they don't owe you anything. And if I catch you, no, you don't get to talk. You don't get to talk. You don't get to interrupt me. If I catch you again threatening any child, I won't just break your wrist. I will make you think that I killed you. Do you understand?
Yeah, just leave me alone.
Have a good night. I'm just gonna leave him.
His
I'll let go of his and leave.
Cradling his absolutely decimated wrist. Okay.
Job well done.
Thank you, Vampire Batman.
Better.
And this face.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm tired of being Wholesome John. Wholesome John's dead. It's now time for vicious, horrible John. I'm still
No, you're
wholesome.
wholesome, John. Always acting.
Well, this is pretty convenient for you because you can before you get to the bridge, you can hang a left and loop back around up to the top of the street where your establishment is, if that's what you want to do. But it's about,
yeah, I think so.
it's getting late. You've had a bit of a wander. It's getting to about 2 a.m.
It's getting early.
Yeah, it's getting early.
I'll head back and I'll take that piece on my way in. I suppose I'll ask. Has the Lady Greenwood left?
Yes, Lady Greenwood has left. She's had a long conversation explaining the new role that Christopher is taking in his life. She's explained about the traditions of the Camarilla and the masquerade. She's explained that the masquerade must be protected at all costs, lest the kind know of our existence. She's not gone into over much detail. It's his first night in life. There's no need to overwhelm him. But Christopher is still there.
Okay.
Unable now to return to the lodgings that he was keeping.
Well, I'll get to the room now and I'll say, if you need to stay, you're more than welcome to have this room until tomorrow night.
Thank you. So now that I am Kindred, can I tell that he is as well?
Yes.
Can I tell the difference quite easily? I just go, oh, okay. A few things make a bit more sense now. Thank you. Yes, I don't know how daylight proof my current lodgings would be. Everything's happened very quickly.
Sorry.
Excellent. At this moment, there's a soft knock on the door. It's not Peter's usual brusque rapping. It's quite a soft knock.
Okay, come in.
And it's another one of your employees, Antiochus. This time it's one of the girls from the tea shop downstairs. She doesn't often come upstairs, but this is Elizabeth. She's quite young. She's about 17. This is her first proper job, and she takes it very seriously. But she looks a little bit pale and a little bit dazed. But she holds in her hand an envelope with very cursive, flowery handwriting on the front, and she says, "There was a lady, and this is for you, sir."
Thank you very much, Bessie. You're gonna take the rest of the night off. I mean, it's nearly morning anyway. Go get some rest. You look tired.
She doesn't even reply. She just nods and sort of teeters off home. Okay.
What's in the envelope?
So we open up the note.
I'm going to open it there. I open it there and then.
Okay, so in the envelope there is a short note from Lady Greenwood saying expenses covering lodgings for the next 2 nights. And then also enclosed expenses for suitable making my progeny's accommodations suitable. And also enclosed in the envelope is a £20 note.
Ah, wonderful. I will take that.
Rich.
That is making it rain. I believe I might have a problem.
Make it rain, John. Make it rain.
Yeah.
My
Good
show
floor
only
lunch,
hold
yeah.
£20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Isaac.
Yeah.
Did you follow Madame Sylvie when she said she was going to the? You did.
Yes.
Okay.
I could back up this time as well. I was back under my my unseen presence, so people weren't watching me follow her. I will do a check on that, which is a success. Good success, don't count for longer also.
So as she's walking down the street, you notice that the horizon's getting a little bit grey. And you are at the other side of the city to your haven.
Just to the sewers nearby.
If you head towards the river, possibly. But Madame Sylvie has got to get delivered one way or another. Not particularly.
It's fine, I've got...
But to be fair, the sheriff didn't say to deliver her. He just said you need to find her and you would collect her.
Go to the sheriff. If you don't go, I will find you. I'll drag you there myself.
Yes. All right, you're very big and scary.
Watching the Stanley. And I go down a sewage grate.
Whatever.
By that point, she's already saying goodbye. I've already gone.
Okay, cool. So you're heading back to your haven before an untimely dawn.
Yeah, to my haven. I do want to shout down to George, though.
Okay.
George, you need to come down here, mate.
All right. Just give me a second.
George, hurry. It's that time of month.
All right. I've just spent the last 30 minutes trying to sit
While
down.
he's coming down, I'm putting my hand open and putting some Vitae into a flask. While George is not looking.
All right. Okay.
All
right. I'm here. What do you want?
It's your medicine, George. The shot's keeping you alive.
All right. Doctor's orders, is it? You crack. Well, I'm not rightly sure what a cancer is, but all right. He knows better than to question you.
He doesn't actually
You're the freaky guy that lives in the sewer.
To him, this is just a medicine that he's receiving.
Yeah. So he chugs it. He swigs down the contents of the flask without question and hands it back. Oh.
Remember, George.
I wish we'd get some better tasting stuff.
Well, next I'll try and find some food colouring for some flavouring for next time. All right, but.
I don't know what they put in that stuff.
The good medicine never tastes good.
They put iron filings in tea leaves. I don't trust that.
Well, definitely this has got mercury in. Mercury's meant to be really good for the brain.
Right. All right. Sure, mercury.
Yeah, it's
I've heard
great.
that.
Yeah, mercury's great for the brain. It's a chemical. It's
Yeah. I know. Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it said.
And then at that point, like, I just kind of
Mercury for the mind.
keep watching.
I will. I'll.
Tell me, wake me, and tell me.
Right you are.
And I return to Topo.
Night. Don't let the refuse bite.
Yeah, and just like, shut up.
And it teeters off back to its little on-site little. I'm assuming it's got some sort of little cottagey thing.
It's got a
in the
little
ground.
hut with a bed and a bucket.
Okay.
I have an undergone
Get
layer.
it for the mind.
I have an undergone layer. He has a bed and a bucket.
Maybe the two connected.
Are they?
Anyway, so you're winding down for the evening. We're left with Christopher Cheshire and his newfound unlife.
At some point, I will have bothered Mr. Ennis, still all I know him as, for a mirror. And I've been like looking at my teeth now, and like Christopher was very attractive before. Now it's unsettling how attractive he is. His eyes almost hypnotic. His voice sounds a lot richer than it did before as well. Just to flavour some of those merits while we're here. And is that scene in American Horror Story Hotel where they turn the mod vampire. Oh my god, I have no pores now. He's doing that whole thing of like, oh my god, I thought I was hot before, I was trash before. And is just sort of absorbing all the information he was given earlier that night as well, knowing that he will probably wake up with many more questions. And just before settling down, his thought do briefly go back to his little brother who he agreed to never see again, not really expecting anything real to come of the weird conversation he was having. It's the one nagging regret about saying yes to something he didn't fully understand.
Okay. And as you lay there in the midst of all the cushions and rugs and the soft smell of smoke, you think about the last words that Lady Greenwood said to you, that she will be back for you tomorrow night. And that's where the work begins. And that's where we'll end our story for tonight.